Hi, everyone. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the following podcast belong solely to the host and its contributors. They are not necessarily the views of our employers, organizations, committees, or other group or individual.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Brewing with BIM. As always, I'm Joe Whitney, and with me is Dave Campbell, and we got Rob Gadbaw joining us today. So, Rob, man, you always got to start off by asking, what are you drinking?
Bud Light today. Bud Light today.
All right, watching those calories. What about you, Dave?
Today I have a Hazy Trail Juicy IPA by 10 Barrel Brewing. Felt like one of those days I'm out here sitting on the water. I'm gonna switch my camera here for you guys if I can. Just there we go. If you guys can see my nice view. So chilling out by the water today, and thought an IPA might just be what it called for.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm joining in the same boat. This is the IPA that I started brewing. For those of you guys that don't know, I set up my own brew setup again for like the first time in 7 years. And about a month ago, I started brewing again, and I got this IPA that could use some more hops. I mean, Northwest has kind of trashed my taste buds, but
how did it do? I was going to ask you, how did it turn out?
That's good. It needs more hops, though. It needs a little more hops. Yeah, I should have dry hopped or something. But, with the weather being as nice as it is, this is a Corona light day for me, man. Should have busted out one of those.
Yeah, definitely on those hot days, I like the Bud Light, but any other time I'm an IPA guy through and through.
Yeah.
So. You got to be, man. You're a Northwester.
Well, I'm actually a Midwester. I'm an Iowa boy. Oh, yeah.
We're at
Iowa. I've Iowa via. I've gone all over the world, but that's where I started out as from Iowa Hawk. I'm an Iowa Hawkeye guy. So
nice,
right.
Heck yeah.
I lived in Iowa for a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we lived in Cedar Rapids, and a tornado came by, ripped the roof off of our field house at our school, and my mom goes, "All right, we're moving." So we relocated to Tennessee for a bit.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you just mentioned it. I guess it's probably a good segue to get into it. You said you've been all over the world, and you really have been. You've been I knew your name through the Northwest because of mutual former employers, all that sort of stuff. And before that, or after that, I believe you were in New Zealand, Australia somewhere, and then back.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm originally from Iowa, and then I married the foreign exchange student in Iowa. So it took me down to New Zealand. So she was from New Zealand. So I lived down in New Zealand for off and on for about 20 years, and then
that's awesome.
Basically came back to the U.S. about 10 years ago when my son was 16 and my daughter was 13, and I just kind of wanted to give them an experience of living in the U.S. They grew up in New Zealand, and so I thought let's come back over here. And I did a lot of work in Alaska, so I was commuting from Auckland, New Zealand to Anchorage, Alaska every 6 weeks, and it was just getting a bit old.
So that's where you were based out of, was Auckland?
Auckland, yeah, is where I lived the last probably 10 years or so. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with New Zealand. I love it.
Never
been. I have never been. I want to go. But the beauty, like all the scenery and stuff. I had my undergrad was in GIS, and I had an opportunity to go to Christchurch after the big earthquake because they had a Geographers Without Borders program.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it, man. I wanted to go so bad, but I had a kid on the way. It's like, all right, not the best time to move to another country.
Yeah, it's tough once you get the kids there. Decisions that you make in life, you have to think about somebody else. So that's where it's tough. But it's worked out well.
Dave, is that your dog, man?
It is my dog. Yes, I got my little Chihuahua mix sitting up here next to me, and I love her to death. But she has so much anxiety if she's away from her kids that she just has to bark at them. And so I was like, all right, she can chill up with me because it's in the shade. Trying to keep her cool, but at the same time keeping her away from her kids. She's freaking out. Oh man.
So you're back in the Northwest. You're in, I believe, Camas area.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Love the Northwest. And you said you were traveling to Alaska quite a bit. Probably a little shorter commute going from Vancouver, Portland area than.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, like I say, we started, I mean, I was never a real big fan of wanting to move to New Zealand in the first place, but it was probably the best decision I ever made in my life because I got to know when I lived in Iowa, I got to know Softdesk really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became Autodesk, land desktop and stuff like that. So there was no one in the whole country in New Zealand or Australia that knew the product, and I actually did because I had been using it. And so that's how I got into this business. I started working for a reseller, and we had no clients because no one knew the product. So I just had for the first year or two, all I did was just dig into land desktop Softdesk, and to the point I just knew it like the back of my hand, and then that got me traveling a lot. So Autodesk would hire me to, go over to places like Singapore and train, and a lot of Australia up into Thailand. And so a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Now, even they wanted me to go to Beirut, Lebanon once. It's like, well, this was just after the war had broken out. So we'd thought long and hard about it, but it's like, yeah, no, that's not going to go for us. So we had kids at the time, so I wasn't going to go to Beirut too bad. So
Yeah, yeah.
So you've made a name for yourself in other countries, but you're also a really big name in the Civil 3D side inside of the United States. And I heard a rumor that you had a hand in maybe developing a template or something for Autodesk. Is that the case, or?
I did the first template for Civil 3D actually. So
it's all your
yes.
fault. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did the very first one. I was hired to do that, and almost all those styles that are still in there today are mine. That I didn't do anything after that, but yeah, it was. I don't know what was that back in 2007 or something like that. I don't remember where it was, but yeah. So I did the very first one for them. So, and
Nice.
it's still in there, but yeah, it's not all me. I wanted to change certain things, and they said, nope, this is why we want this. And yeah, in regards to existing ground and finished ground, I wanted stuff to be called that, EG and FG, but no, they didn't want that. So
it's all right, man. Most people that I know don't use the stock template anyways. They take it, they parse out, what is there, like 280 layers or something, parse out a bunch of that stuff, make their own. There's this whole hybrid methodology where you get it to create layers, with wildcards and all that stuff. So I mean, like, it's come a long way. It's very powerful. But I do hear your name mentioned quite a bit. Mostly in regards now to your tools. You've got these awesome plugins. Dave and I mentioned them quite a few times, at least on the Revit side. KobiLabs. So you got your hand in a lot of different pots, man. Start with KobiLabs, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So, KobiLabs. So like I said, this all came about in New Zealand. I've been doing training all over the world, and you do classes, and people ask you about doing this and doing that, and so when I was in New Zealand, I owned a reseller down there called Team Blue 22. So that was the Autodesk reseller, and Autodesk hired me to be the subject matter expert on a survey plugin for the New Zealand market. And they hired a company called CGS, which was based out of Slovenia, as the developer, but I was the subject matter expert. So we got to know each other quite well. And then I moved back to the US and ran into them at AU, and they had their own little product line. And I just told them they needed to, if you really wanted to get it going in the US, you need to have a US presence. And next thing you know, they offered me a partnership if I would, be their US presence. So we started out as CGS. I broke away from that. My partners now were the developers. So I've got 4 partners basically, and I'm the only one that's not a developer basically. So all the others are all developers, and I just give them ideas, and they do all the hard work, and I just reap the rewards basically. And people think I'm the face of it, but honestly, the guys in behind the scenes are the ones that are doing all the good stuff. So
Oh, I definitely know to go to Ivo when I need support rather than you, man.
yeah, definitely on the Revit side. Yeah, Revit side, I just like, yep, he's the one, and then on the civil side, we got Urush and Andre, and they're great. I mean, some of the stuff in Civil 3D now we developed back in the day when they were with CGS and stuff like that. So they know it well.
What really originally kind of made you get into developing these plugins? What kind of got you started?
The training really. I just got really tired of telling users, no, sorry, you can't do that. I wish it could. It's just, and I've always been a fan. So CGS themselves had a large routing package that they sold in Europe mainly. And I had looked to kind of sell it over here, but in the end, no one was looking. Civil 3D or Land Desktop, whatever it was at the time, really had a foothold in. So no one was really looking to switch to a completely different product. And so I suggested you really just need to you just want to fill the holes, fill the gaps, It is what people use here, but yeah, everybody knows it's not the best thing. So the whole idea behind KobiLabs now is we really try to listen to our customers and resellers or whoever. If anybody has an idea, we just build it and put it in the product. No charge to anybody whatsoever. We know, we're like one tool away from everybody absolutely having to have that software. I mean, it is. I mean, but
it's awesome, dude. I love the feedback option that you guys have. Honestly, the feedback like that you can leave, and then you guys have a poll that kind of gets generated from those options or ideas that people have, and you can actually generate tools into the toolbars themselves. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
really great support.
You guys are very responsive. You and I did a demo, and I think like right after the call, you got back to me like, "Oh yeah, we're building it in, we're working on it." And then like maybe it was 2 weeks later, you let me know that it was already built and it'll probably be in the next release. It was awesome. Like, you guys are very responsive to feedback. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, we don't have if we know it's going to help us sell software, that's bottom line. That's what we're trying to do. And we don't want to nickel and dime people, stuff like that. That's what kind of separates us from our competition. When we build something, we just put it in the set of tools and they get it, and, they're notified through, the menus that, hey, the new tool's out there, bottom line for us, I've always said to my team, I'd rather have 10,000 customers out there paying us $100 a year than having 1,000 customers out there trying to get, $1,000 a year out of them. I'd rather have more customers, and not charge them much. Keep our prices down. They keep coming back, give us ideas. We just make it.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I've seen a few different things where they'll probably give away the base level tools for free. And then if you want like the really robust stuff without ads, you got to pay a boatload of money for it. Or you got a reseller who developed some tools, or they bought them from bought another developer that had them, no names. But and then they charge like out the butt, for those tools. I like your methodology better. It's always it's very agile, and you're adapting constantly to what people want. I love it.
And I'll be honest with you, we're lazy, because believe me, if we had separate products, then it's just more work for us. Okay, we got to get a license for that product, and we just want to license everything. I mean, in the end, I mean, somebody buys Civil 3D, they're gonna have the AutoCAD tools if they want it. If they also use Revit, to have the Revit tools. I mean, we don't, it's just easy. It's easy for us, and that's what we're all about, and hopefully people see that,
Awesome. So right now, what would you say, like, the biggest, like, 2 features or something like that? Like, what would be the biggest things that you've seen requested? in let's say Revit or Civil 3D?
So, Revit wise, I mean, everybody's wanting us, and we're going to do it. I mean, but keynotes are probably the biggest thing that people have been asking for a lot. Evo's got a great idea about doing it more of a cloud-based kind of a thing.
Okay.
So that'll definitely be coming. He's working on a lot of Power BI stuff right now, so it's got some pretty crazy stuff that's going to be coming out.
Awesome.
So that's it. On the civil side of it, corridors is, everybody's always got something with corridors or pipes that are coming. I mean, the civil stuff is actually the stuff that's going like super, super well, because in the end, there's a lot of competition for the Revit stuff. There's a lot of companies out there developing stuff for Revit, but you could count all the people doing the civil stuff on your hand, basically. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there really concentrating on it. So that's what we're it's going well. I would really like to try to come up with something, and I just need ideas, but something on that, the cloud-based for civil stuff, whether it be helping them with costing or design. I mean, I'm not talking InfraWorks or anything like that. I'm talking something like almost like can we mention company names here? I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but
we do. We just try not to mention ours.
Yeah.
That's all.
So like the Procores, the BIM 360s kind of there, but I mean all of these kind of things. But there's not a lot out there for civil. There's just not a lot out there for the civil market, and I just think that's where we want to go. But I need to talk to people to figure out what they really want, and
So I think QTO is a big piece on the civil side, right? I mean, to do it in Civil 3D is a pain in the butt. You got to build these material library. It's just a pain in the butt to set all this stuff up. But if you have it set up and it can tie into your job costing and all that stuff, it seems like it might be a smarter way to go. If we're talking road projects and heavy civil, it's usually like heavy bid or something. So having an integration with that. Me personally, as a BIM 360 fanatic, I would say, if there's a way to tie into the cost module. I don't know if that API is available yet for BIM 360.
No, I don't think so.
But
not with civil.
Might be worth looking into.
I've seen, one thing I've been waiting for is work packaging with like the design collaboration for Civil 3D. If they can start creating packages when they save, sharing that information, comparing, all that stuff, consuming those updates, to the reference files. I want to see that in terms of BIM 360. And then as soon as we can, pushing that more into the cost, into the field workflows. The field and project management workflows, I think would be fine, RFI submittals. But in terms of costing, no, you're not really seeing anything like that for QTOs on taking off surfaces, recognizing subsurfaces, and giving us like the bitmouth surface or kind of what have the porous surface, anything like that. And we can kind of do, analysis on even runoffs. Imagine if you could do surface like runoffs in the cloud. That'd be a great feature, especially as the designs update.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were just playing around. Evo's really getting into the Power BI. So I gave them a few examples like, on civil wise, if we could do this, this, and this. So, just on yesterday, we exported out some data out of civil, and, I was getting Power BI reports out of this thing, and it was, might say, I want to see the volume of, base course from station, 2+00 to this, and boom, I'm getting the pie charts, and, we'll look at it
awesome.
to get cross sections. I mean, hopefully we can come up with something that'll just let people allow them to, with Forge in the background, seeing a viewer, viewing the models and stuff like that. And it'll definitely integrate with something like a BIM 360 too.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. That's the way to go. I mean, I think as much as we're going up to the cloud, and the more that we can help visualize and extract that data from the model as it changes, the better. It's only going to improve our process.
Yeah, I think what's going on today, like COVID and all that stuff, is making everybody appreciate cloud technology a little bit more. So we were already starting to move that way with construction technology, but I think it's kind of forcing that mindset a little faster. So you guys adopting it with Power BI, and Civil 3D and stuff and pushing that stuff out to other people. That's a smart way to go. I saw your Revit plugin for Power BI, and that is smooth, man. I'm a fan. Can't wait for it. Looks great.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's like say, and you sent me a link of something, and Evo happened to look at that, and he's like, "Oh no, I can make something a lot better than that." And like say, we're working with a very large, company that builds all these sports stadiums and stuff, and he saw what we're doing with on the Forge and stuff like that. So wanting to kind of tie it in there, so it should be a pretty cool thing. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be out.
So KobiLabs, you guys had, I sent you the link. You mentioned you already saw it, but it was that AUGIWorld. You guys were the first mentioned application under the Civil 3D, which is awesome. Everybody loves your tools. They're fantastic. You guys have some true fans with it. But that said, you just mentioned something about Forge, and I know you guys are doing some stuff with Forge with another product that you work on, iConstruct. Like I mentioned earlier, you got your hands in a lot of pots. So tell us about iConstruct.
Yeah, so iConstruct as a whole, and that iConstruct's kind of a funny thing because a lot of people haven't heard of it or whatever. I was wondering when I was going to get the invite to this call, because we're talking BIM, and iConstruct is probably the BIM software on the market, but a lot of people don't really know about it. But I work for iConstruct, been working for them for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. And I brought Evo on board too, who KobiLabs, but it's a lead developer of iConstruct. So iConstruct is a bolt-on to Navisworks. We've been around for 9 years as a commercial product. The product as a whole. Can you guys still see me or hear me? It's kind of frozen.
Yep.
I didn't know if it's still.
Yeah, you cut in
I
and
got
out
you.
for a little bit,
Okay.
but it's coming across.
All right, good. So iConstruct as a whole, it started as an in-house product in Australia, down in Perth. So they it was called PDC, Perth Drafting Company. They built this in-house to give them a competitive edge. Then a local reseller found they were doing, look to try to sell this thing. So that's how it came about as a commercial product. So it was an in-house product that they built, and then we started selling it. So it's an add-on to Navisworks. I mean, our bread and butter right now is clash detection. But I'm going to move closer here. It says I probably need to get closer to the Wi-Fi. Clash detection is our bread and butter by far. But now we're really getting into more in the oil and gas industry. And that is where the cloud-based stuff is coming in. So we've got a thing called Genesis, which is built on Forge. And it's going to be built for the advanced work packaging. And but the Genesis is pretty cool.
That sounds very cool, man. Joey and I just did an episode, 3 weeks ago, Joe, where we were talking about advanced work packaging and how it can affect the design and the construction industry.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic.
It is, and it's like this whole methodology. It's not just about a product. Like there's a lot that goes to it, which is awesome. I feel like an idiot because I don't know enough about it. Because it's like lean, right? It's you could say some keywords, you could say some things about it or BIM or whatever, but to know the whole process might take a while. I don't know.
For me, I think it's a concentrated process. I think it's a concentrated process. I think that's really what it is learning what data is needed where and how to get it to those individuals in the best format. That really is what and that's where we're trying to go, right? As an industry, that's one of our biggest kind of missteps a lot of times is communication. And then of course, making sure people have their needed data so they're not wading through needless drawings or needless sheets or they're stuck 2 updates, or 2 revisions back, different things like that. I think it's a great idea. And I think the more that we move towards it, the more that we continue to kind of develop into it, the better we can kind of push, I think our our processes, our timelines, right? I think everything gets better and better.
You mentioned oil and gas there. Is that particularly because of the complex nature of the projects?
Well, AWP itself, Advanced Work Packaging, is really, I mean, there's a whole Advanced Work Packaging conference that's goes on, you know, usually one down in Houston. They have it over in Europe and stuff like that, where Houston's where, you know, your oil and gas companies are based. So there's a huge conference on just AWP, just trying to push advanced work packaging. And when you're talking about piping and oil and gas, I mean, that's really where it comes into play. The Genesis, or we actually have this product that's going to be coming out called, our, you know, it's our control panel. But basically, we've working with a you know, large oil and gas company in Milan, Italy, right now, and they saw iConstruct before any advanced work packaging. They saw the stuff that we're doing with it, and then, you know, kind of the lights started flashing in their head, saying, "Hey, you know, we think we, you know, maybe there's something we can do here." And so the idea in regards for them, I'm not going to mention the company name, but basically, you know, they, when they're doing the oil and gas stuff, they get all this material, you know, they got all their pipes and their elbows and stuff, and they're getting stacks and stacks of them, you know, and they want to just know what is ready to be built. What can I go into the shop and start building right now? And that's basically what they're doing, saying, hey, we're tying into all their material databases, their engineering databases. So they can actually say, well, you know, here I've got 1,000 pipes in this model right now. Can you show me all the pipes that are ready to be built, you know, that you have on site and elbows? So instead of my guys in the shop sitting there waiting with nothing to do, we're going to go ahead and say, let's start building this right here, even though it's nowhere near this piece over here, but they can at least be building it in the shop, getting it done. So it's going to be pretty cool what we're doing. And you know, we've got a few pilot companies, you know, 3 companies right now piloting it. So hopefully we'll have something that's going to be released later this year.
I've worked with a lot of MEP firms, not you know, particularly in oil and gas. I do work with a few of those, but the biggest thing is, you know, in the shop, once it's fabricated, tracking it afterwards. Do you have any functionality for like barcoding or anything like that of individual parts and keeping track of it, tying it into stuff? Or is it all specifically about what can we build today?
We kind of have some, we do have the ability in iConstruct to create, you know, some barcodes and stuff like that. We have been talking with a few companies about trying to, you know, do that, you know, having them. The biggest issue for us, we're happy, we can do it, absolutely. But who's creating the barcodes? I mean, I could create you a company 1,000 barcodes, but who's going to be one of the person to go out there and say, oh, this is for that piece, where's it at, you know, go, you know. So we have to work with the company that creates the barcodes and say, you know, when you scan, when you create that barcode, that it'll go into our system. So that's the holdup. It's not really on our end, it's really who we're going to work with that's creating the barcodes.
Gotcha.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Communication. I think that's an awesome process too. Like, well, being able to go out and scan it really. What I think is kind of ideal is taking a you know, a barcode, a scan kind of thing, and then you can actually navigate like a 3D model viewer to that exact piece and you know, where it is in that model, that pipe system, and maybe get a tag, or, you know, you can see what type of pipe that is, or that, of course, the pipe type, and then follow. So I used to work in paper mills in Valparaiso, Indiana. I worked for a paper mill. And a lot of times you'd see tags hanging off these lines to let you know kind of what they are, and kind of know where to follow it for maintenance purposes. If you're looking for this specific valve or anything like that, you could have an idea of where to go. I think tying that information to the 3D model itself is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do some stuff with that. I don't know if you guys remember the old field and glue workflow, where if you start with a model and you push up to glue and then you connect it to field, you can actually create equipment tracking and actually have barcodes and all that stuff attached to it. So we would be able to like scan and have everything consolidated, or know where it's at, or know like all the information associated. We know the commissioning data, all that sort of stuff. It would be all tethered essentially to one piece. We would know where it is in a room. We could you know, figure out that this package belongs to this section of the building, delivered over there to help with logistics. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Have you guys explored, and this is probably just a Hail Mary question, but has anybody looked at the new asset module for BIM 360?
BIM 360? Yeah, heck yeah, dude. That assets module is pretty cool. I mean, you have to go in there and generate, obviously, kind of what you want, like your categories, subcategories, but recognizing the element IDs, the categories, and breaking it down in that instance already gives us a foot up. And I'm excited to see it as it continues to grow.
So
yeah, I haven't had much to do with it yet, but that's definitely we're doing more and more with the integration with BIM 360. Right now we're doing more with the docs, but I can see us going farther, like say with our Forge platform, working with the BIM 360.
Yep. Heck yeah. Oh, this is actually making me think of it. Have you guys got to play with Assemble yet?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
Wee bit. You and I played with it, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I've been getting more and more into that and kind of learning like the BIM takeoffs and just what you can do, quantifying the data when you push your model up and you publish it, when you sync it, creating those bid packages, actually being able to take a barcode through the mobile version. You can actually take a barcode and take a picture of it. It'll scan it and recognize it and tie it back to that element right in that BIM model in that 3D viewer. The more we can kind of push into that process, dude, I think it's going to help us, again, get a better foothold with advanced work packaging and kind of pushing forward towards just utilizing the data that's there, right?
Can't wait till these are all just on one platform and not,
I can't
not separate
either, man.
programs. Like they're just one, and everybody puts a hook in Forge, and you're done.
Standardize it. Let's go.
Yeah, that's where it's all great. I mean, absolutely. I've heard great things about Assemble. I haven't had anything to do with it. I've heard bad things, just like anything. But the biggest thing that people have the issue with is that it's just not, they don't talk to each other that good, that well,
Yep.
And, I mean, that's really kind of where Navisworks came into it, at the start. Hey, we don't talk to you guys, but hey, we'll bring in your model and we'll bring them all together. And yeah, once they sort that out, but
it's all about aggregating data in the sense of Navisworks.
Yeah.
And there's still, I mean, almost every plugin you see still, I mean, these softwares that should connect through workflows, it's still a disconnected process.
Yeah.
You still have to hit this button. You still have to say, okay, I want to publish this information. This is where I want it to go. This is the model I want it to go into, or this is the package that I want to create. You know what I mean? It's still a disconnected workflow.
Yeah, there's a lot of Band-Aids on pretty much all software. Before we started this call, Rob, you had mentioned that software, it doesn't do everything you want it to do, and like you guys kind of stepped in with your tools, or I guess it was after we started recording. You guys stepped in and started, you got sick of hearing, oh, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do this, and figuring out, having all this disconnect between software to me is almost like the same thing. It's like, oh, I wanted to just, automatically do this, but instead of doing it that way, I have to save it out to 3 different formats and then convert it and, pump it up this way and then, turn on the ACS connector or whatever it is and have them sync data. It's just a pain in the butt. It'd be nice for everything all to be one. And you guys, as a developer, though, stand in a pretty weird spot. Like, do you start developing for the program as it is today, with the forethought that, hey, 3 years from now, this is going to be a totally different, it's not going to connect the same way? Or do you just have to take a step back and say, all right, let's just wait for it to get there before we start working this piece out?
Yeah, that was a tough one with Navisworks because, we've always been in the frame of mind that, Navisworks, it's it's been around, it's old technology, Autodesk hasn't really been adding more stuff to it for years, and that's our lifeline, for iConstruct at the moment. It's like it's on top of Navisworks. So if Navisworks kind of goes away, so we've realized, we've got to start doing something, to go onto Forge and start doing BIM 360 and stuff like that, because Navisworks probably won't be around forever and ever. But right now, I mean, we went to Manchester in England, met with Autodesk a few years ago, and we were more concerned about it. It's like, hang on, Navisworks, what's going to happen to this? And they're saying they themselves thought, hey, it would start winding down, but sales were increasing. That more and more people were buying it. So it was kind of a shock to them, really. That was 5 years ago, and it still seems to be going strong. People still use it in the industry, and we just have a niche. We really have a niche that we do a lot of things that a lot of people don't do, so it's going well. It's going really well.
So before I jump into, there are two great things that you guys do outside of the core functionality of your product. There are two amazing things you guys do in Navisworks that I really want to hit on. But before I get on that, though, Navisworks is interesting for Autodesk because prior to Navisworks, Autodesk didn't really have a leg in the actual physical construction environment, right?
No.
So GCs, they didn't really have a hand in design. They didn't care about having a seat of AutoCAD. They said, give me the PDF or print out some plans, and that's it. I don't need anything beyond that. But as coordination started to take off and Navisworks, went like gangbusters, Autodesk has now seen the proverbial, golden pot at the end of the rainbow. Now they're saying, oh, actually, there's this whole market of construction that we've been overlooking. This is where BIM 360 is going to kind of start fitting in. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we already see where we're at with Coordinate and stuff, but it'll be interesting to see how Autodesk tweaks the BIM 360 cloud or whatever it's going to be called 5 years from now and fits that into construction more to better run the construction space. But before we dive down that rabbit hole, so two things that I really want to hit on that iConstruct does that most GCs I chat with say they can't live without. Your smart IFC export and your DWG export out of Navisworks. Those are non-native functionalities to Navisworks. And you guys do that. And I know people that have just bought the product based off of that alone. Like that was it. They didn't care about anything else it did. Could save them, hundreds of hours during the year. It doesn't matter what it is. But those two pieces were everything they need to do for contracts and whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, I can't believe how many people actually buy our product because of that. So we now actually have an exporter bundle. So it's customers don't have to buy the full entire product. But we get more downloads and requests for our exporter bundle than we do anything right now. IFC, I think, is just becoming the standard. I don't know why, but it's becoming the standard now of data. Where back in the day, I'm a bit older than you guys, but DXF was the thing. You send somebody a DXF file, almost everybody could bring in a DXF, but it was pretty dumb. The IFC at least gives a little bit of intelligent, but the DWG is a really popular one. Probably our most popular feature right now, though, other than like Clash and stuff, is our Reconstruct or iView exporter, because these models are getting massive. I mean, they're unbelievably so much data in these models nowadays where they're getting up to gigs.
The detail that we have to put in these models. I mean, because the more intelligent that we get, the more that needs to be modeled or can be modeled for clash detection, clash prevention. That's the size of that model just going up exponentially, man. It really is.
I know. When you get these models from somebody from Inventor, I mean, the threads on every single bolt is modeled. It's just like, that's just crazy. And so with our Reconstruct or iView exporter, we can break up models into smaller models, so we can take that gig model and say, hey, let's break it up into, 8 different areas, and it'll create a brand new NWD of just that area and slice everything. But people are buying it to push up into like HoloLens and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
Because the HoloLens, the VR, I know you guys are talking about the VR and AR, they can't handle a gig model. So they use iConstruct now to clean up the models, break them down, remove data they don't want, and then push those into their HoloLive or whatever it might be.
Yeah, a lot of GCs that I've worked with, a lot of large GCs that I know, when they're pushing up to their virtual reality, they strip everything out of the model. Like they you know,
They're
paint
going
the
on to like
walls.
levels.
Yeah, they like apply paint. Like they just dumb it down. Like you could have a multi-face wall or something like that, and they're just going to dumb it down to just one layer, and they'll just paint over the whole thing. It's just like a layer. You can't see beyond it. That way, it's not constantly rendering. It just makes it easier for it to handle.
Yeah. So that's been a real popular thing for us, and it's even more so from the companies that are, you know, selling the 3D and or like Visual Live and all those guys, you know, because they're the ones producing software to look at these models, but then the models are just too
They can't
big.
handle it. Yeah.
No,
Crazy.
no.
The rendering rates, I'd imagine, are pretty insane.
Yeah. So you had recently, probably within the past 2 years, put out a new clash detection tool because so you have this. First off, backing up, iConstruct has this amazing clash detection tool that allows you to automate stuff, apply like this template, and do like this crazy stuff. But there had been like this niche starting to pop up for like a lot of lightweight clash detection tools. And you guys jumped in that realm. So tell us a little bit more about iClash.
So we wanted to, and we came up with it to work with the likes of Aconex and Procores and Revitzos and BIM 360s. So everybody's pushing up their issues into all these different products. Well, what they were doing is they were just uploading everything into it, which was then bogging down their systems. You know, they're saying, oh, here's 1,000 issues. Well, did you have 1,000 issues? You probably only had 20 or 30, but it was easier for them just to upload it. So we wanted, you know, I guess kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. Is we wanted to come up with a lightweight, easy to use Clash module, but we also wanted to give them the ability to start doing this uploading to these different platforms. So we came up with Clash, and Clash basically is it's basically three tools. You group your clashes. We have an amazing review tool, unbelievable, to where you can actually look at your clashes. Oh, yep, let's use your window 5 of them and say group those together, and then put a checkbox once you've done that, say that is one that's an issue that will be uploaded. So as you're walking through, it's not just automatically going to upload those. You've got to actually, oh, yep, assign it to somebody, change a status or something like that. Then it knows it's an actual real issue instead of just saying, hey, here's 1,000 of them. Let everybody kind of sort them out. But yeah, it's been going great. You know, it's a lightweight, you know, inexpensive, but just real user-friendly product.
That's a very smart path to go down, especially as we dive more into these integrated coordination tools that are all about assigning and tracking and all that stuff, rather than just creating a list and then, you know, screen sharing, posting stuff in Bluebeam and hope people get it, but actually having a link to somebody saying, look, Steve, these, you know, 6 clashes are yours, deal with it. Like that's like the next evolution in BIM as we get there.
It is. Yep.
So definitely ties into what you were saying earlier about iConstruct being a true BIM tool.
Yep, definitely it is. I mean, we, you know, like say, just Navisworks as a whole brings in all these different data formats, but you know the things that we can do with it. Navisworks, let's be honest, what's it do? It's a viewer and clash detection. That's it. But we're talking BIM, information modeling. There's so much information in these models that you can't access. Well, iConstruct says, hey, you got data in there. Let's do something with it. Let's generate some reports. Let's get some QTO out of it. Let's do all sorts of stuff. I mean, the data's there. Let's use Navisworks more than just a viewer and clash detection. So that's kind of what we did. So
yeah.
I think we need to dive more into iConstruct, Dave. You and I had these links and we downloaded it and then we got new computers.
Yeah, expired. Yeah, man, I tried to go back the other day and I couldn't download it. I go through a new computer, I think every 2 or 3 years. every 2 or 3 years, by the end of that time span, my computer's like, dude, give me a break.
Well, it was literally like a week after you had given me that link to download. I downloaded it, I installed it, I didn't have time, but then, the following week or a week and a half later, IT sent me a new computer, said migrate into this new machine. And I was like, oh, man. All right. I got in there and then it was, I don't know, maybe about a month or two ago, I was chatting with Dave and I was like, man, I need to get back into iConstruct. I never got to really do anything with it. And I really want to play with you guys. You showed off at AU because you guys are always at AU, right?
Yep.
We
always have a booth. Yep.
You were showing me some stuff with BIM 360 integration. That was pretty awesome. Is that already existing in iConstruct, or is that coming, or?
That's coming. I mean, we're basically we work very closely with Autodesk also. They kind of, we have weekly meetings with them and kind of, we're kind of the roadmap in a way of stuff that we're doing with Navisworks, but they would like to see us doing a lot more with the BIM 360. So we've got a few things going with it. And then, like I say, we got the cloud version coming of product called Genus. We call it Genus. And that should be out hopefully later this year.
Cool. Yeah, Autodesk is actually starting to ramp up development. So Coordinate was, kind of off on its own for a bit, but they've grouped the teams, the Coordinate and Collaboration team together. So the design and the coordination team are all one now. Work with a few people on that team for beta testing, and ever since they kind of linked up and joined together, we've seen like this rocket ship take off with what Coordinate's starting to do. Now we can do coordination based off of Revit models through our design, design
through the project
package.
files instead of plan files.
Yeah, so much stuff is happening, and that's going to open up endless possibilities if we're not just limited to the way that plan files work.
Man, I'm waiting for the day we connect that back to the models. So when they're actually going through and modeling, if we can take these links and connect them together, and as they're modeling, say, no, you've got a clash, like clash prevention, not only clash like detection. Like if we can get ahead of it when the design is going on itself, as we connect these models together, and it gives you a little warning signal, like, hey, this is a clash. Awesome.
I don't want to bring up another third-party developer here, but there is a tool out there that does this. Do you guys do anything with that in Revit yet? Where as you're modeling, it'll tell you, look, you can't do that. There's an issue.
No, we don't. No, well, we've thought about it. We're we've got a little. We'll be releasing something with KobiLabs probably later this year anyway. A little bit of just not clash detection, but just bringing in the clashes from Navisworks. But yeah, that would be a pretty cool thing to be able to tell you ahead of time you're going to do it. The biggest issue we come across is just when you're getting these models from different sources. So if you're doing it all in Revit, that's one thing. You can do some crazy stuff in there, but if you've got structural model from Tekla and stuff like that, that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
It does. Yep, it really does. And that we have to find a good way to aggregate all that data in the cloud. And I think that's really where they might go with Coordinate. Because, I mean, Navisworks right now is it's the aggregator where we can take in all that different data. But when you start getting into the cloud, right now we don't have that capability, and we need it. We really do.
So, like we mentioned IFCs earlier, we're talking about Tekla. That's the way we bring smart data over.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys been seeing, IFCs were the new standard after DXF and all that stuff. Have you guys been seeing any other file formats start to pop up? Like in Europe, they're big on BFCs and all that stuff. Has that been popping up in your field yet, or any new file formats?
It's BCFs are actually becoming more and more popular, but that is more on that's more your viewpoint and stuff like that. So we have a BCF exporter also. As part of our export bundle in iConstruct, but that you're seeing that more and more. But it's also a integration. There's a BCF API, so we're using that BCF API in regards to some of our connections with things like AConnex and stuff like that. So that is definitely becoming more and more popular too.
All right. Well, with that exporter and what you guys are doing there, you're talking about connecting to other, like, AConnex is a project management tool, I imagine, right? They're big in Europe, if I remember correctly. Australia or something.
Is where they came out of. Yeah. now they're owned by drawing a blank.
It'll come to you after we hang up, man.
I know.
Yeah.
But we're talking about connecting to other like project management tools. A big thing that's starting to take place now is the handover to construction or to the owner. We mentioned earlier with BIM 360 assets and all that stuff coming online. Have you guys looked at anything or considered anything, since you do have all this great data in the iConstruct platform? You mentioned you have all this BIM data. What are you going to do with it? Have you guys looked at possibly like some kind of export to an FM tool?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're looking at a lot of different things. We just need to hire about 20 more developers.
You and everybody else, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got right now our focus is on Genus at the moment, and our new our control panel for AWP, and then once that's actually probably completed, then we're going to free up guys to start doing some other stuff. But we've got a whole Forge team now. Basically, we've got 5 or 6 guys just developing on top of Forge, and then we got the team that's just working on top of Navisworks right now.
You guys develop so much, man. Every time I reach out to you, I'm like, "Oh, have you seen this tool over here? What they're doing?" You're like, "Oh yeah, we developed part of that." Or it's you guys are always developing something, which is awesome. You guys always are in the know. I love it.
Yeah, well, we like to, we try to listen to our customers and find out what they want, and hopefully we can produce it. And the company's Oracle. Sorry, I apologize for that. Who owns AConnex?
Oracle. Okay, yeah.
So Oracle bought them out quite a few years ago.
That makes sense. Tie back into their whole construction ERP, Primavera V6, all that stuff.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, is there anything, as we wrap up, is there anything with either iConstruct or KobiLabs that you want to mention that might be coming out or anything like that you feel is worth all of our, fans checking out?
Yeah, I think I probably already mentioned them all during the session or whatever. So yeah, like I say, Genus and AWP is definitely going to be coming out on iConstruct soon, and then our integration with some of these other platforms, and then with the Revit, we actually do have quite a few Revit tools that are coming out. A very good customer has also given us some tools that they want us to be able to push in there too, and they're happy for us to. So the next release could have 6-8 tools in it. So it should be pretty
release.
Good. All right, yeah, keep an eye out.
We chat about your Revit KobiLabs tools quite often. They're huge time savers. Being able to edit all the parameters for all families all at one time. It's just amazing. It's such a great easy tool. The smart sheet, the Excel spreadsheet.
Oh
links,
yeah, dude.
Just so great.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
And like I say, you guys know, but we like recommendations, and we know people are out there using other tools. We purposely never look at anybody else's tool. We refuse to do that. We won't copy anybody else's stuff. We just want people to tell us what they want. So if you've got something and you want it in our tools, then let us know. But we're never going to go out there and look at other people's stuff to see what they actually have. We want to hear from the customers, what do you want? We always want to make something better. So
that's a great mindset to have, because as you, if you look at somebody else's tools, then you're always back engineering to make it work the same way. But if somebody tells you what you want, there could be 1,000 different ways to get there. You're going to choose maybe the more efficient way for you today to get there. And 3 years ago, when that original tool was developed by the other developer, it was developed with whatever tools that were out there, and maybe your way is more efficient is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And my guys, you guys know Evo and Urish and them, and they're foreigners or whatever, so they don't want to upset anybody here in the U.S. So get the U.S. government after them. So we won't look at anybody's stuff. So.
They're great. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, man. This has been fun. I told you it would be pain free, man.
It was. You're gonna drink some beer. Once I was allowed to drink beer as I went. So that's nice.
Great. Well, give you guys the rest of your Sunday. It's been great. Thank you guys for joining us. And this is another episode of Brewing with Ben. Like, follow, subscribe, however you guys get to us.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. Great working with you guys over the years.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.